could you explain to people what a contractor is and how it's different from being in the Army?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's some
I think it's fascinating.
There's some pretty good linear histories out there of the contracting industry, all right? Let's think about it like this, all right? If you understand corporations, you understand contracting. And everybody out there understands. If you're from America, you understand corporations because they're running the country, all right? So if you understand corporations, like that's the structure, all right? So if Zach and I get on a project, right, to go build a new set of condos or whatever, right, we're going to bid certain contractors to build that, right? We're going to bid, concrete guys to do that, and we got to find the price for it, the price point, and we're going to look at the reputation, right? And we're going to look at how well they build to code. Let's say ABC Group, who does framing, they build just within code, right? And that's what we're going to pay for. And so there's a mixed bag there. And the contracting world in military is much the same, all right? You have the top tier, top echelon folks, and you pay what you get for it. And a lot of the U.S. government missions abroad now are driven by these entities, and they're filled with ex-soldiers, they're filled with ex-Marines, ex-soldiers, ex-Navy SEALs, ex-combat forces characters. And you make a good paycheck. I used to make like almost 200. The best paying job I was ever in, I almost made $200,000 a year. I was 23. So
that's some great spending power. 23 years old.
You have no idea, dude. And I lived in Thailand, dude. So, and I didn't like stuff. Still don't. Like, I give most of the stuff I have away. So, like, here's a guy who doesn't like trucks, doesn't like houses, doesn't like the finer things in life, and I'm just swimming in money. So, I couldn't give it away fast enough. I couldn't buy experiences, and that's what I really went in hard with. I just wanted to live, man. Another story for another time. But like the contracting industry, it's the same thing you'll get, especially in like those early days. So in '99, there's a very famous stories out there. Have you ever watched the movie Blood Diamond?
Yes. Yeah, with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. So that's based on I think it's loosely based on a group called Executive Outcomes, and they were in the late '90s in Central Africa. Okay, and I don't know if they were in Mali or not, but I know they were in Central Africa, and they were in Rhodesia too, or former Rhodesia. Now, what is it, Zimbabwe, right?
I think so.
So they were there, and they had really good success, albeit I don't know what the point of view or perspective was from the ground, like from the locals and the people on the ground. But they had a very successful outcome for their mission from the corporate and the government side. So that sort of accelerated this mindset of, okay, they saw the example of Vietnam. They saw what was happening in Somalia, right? Somalia didn't turn out well for us. Now it turned out well in the tactical sense. We won Somalia. Like only 18 soldiers, I think, or 19 were killed in that action. During the Mogadishu, the Black Hawk Down incident. But they realized that can't be spread across the papers anymore. We can't have like whole platoons of Rangers and stuff dying in these interdictions and these diplomatic missions. So they went and agencies started opening up, not agencies, but like companies started opening up, like Executive Outcomes, and modeling it on that. You have like all these agencies that are out there. I don't know what the names are called anymore, but like Aegis, you had Z and Blackwater, you had Triple Canopy. They're still a real thing. Global, and they all have a similar structure and an organization based somewhat in corporate America and based somewhat in the military. The organization set up, and they bid on contracts. And the government decides, okay, we'll give this contract to you over here in Somalia. We'll give you this contract in the IZ in Baghdad to control that. And these guys have to play by an agreed upon set of rules that is written by the State Department or who they work for, Department of Defense, and agreed on the country they're in. In Iraq, I was a contractor mostly in Iraq. I did some contracting in Afghanistan. It was a war zone. So you're writing rules and having guys follow rules in an active place where people are dying by the hundreds and sometimes thousands in a day. That's just a rough scene and a rough scenario. And these guys are they're all mostly folks like I was, either a poor kid or a patriotic person or somebody who joined the military and then got out and realized, like, man, I don't fit in well back here. I'm not doing so hot. So let me go back to doing what I know and making a good paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense if you come out of the Army with a certain set of skills and someone's willing to pay you a couple $100,000 at 23 years old, I'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah, cut me the check and I'll go over and just tell me what to do. And when I was reading about contractors, it sounded almost like a free agent vibe, because I was comparing it to sports and baseball, where someone has a certain set of skills and you can hire them for a specific job. And so you have these guys that are discharged from the Army, and you can pick and choose which ones will fit the operation that you're hiring them for.
Yeah, and there's a story there too. Like in the earlier days, like rules are fast and loose, right? But the standards were much higher. So I got into contracting in 2006, and that's, from a contractor's perspective in Iraq and stuff, that's still the early days, albeit not the earliest days, right? Like there was contractors. I remember being with my unit in Iraq and seeing contractors pull up while I was sitting there with like my rifle or doing whatever for the Army, and they pulled up and eating our chow hall and stuff, and I was like, what is this fucking cowboy? Pulls up with an MP5 and a set of Levi's on and like shades and money falling out of his pockets. That's a caricature, but it's similar.
Yeah.
You see like an organized military structure, and then you see these wahoos come in, with their home state Ohio patch on their shoulder and a mohawk and a machine gun, and it's like, oh, okay, that's something. I don't know about that. And
so you didn't have to abide by the same rules as a contractor.
Yeah, well, I mean, these guys, then that's the thing, right? It depends. So I worked on several State Department gigs, right? And for the State Department, things were run, fairly tight, right? They have a diplomatic mission. It's different. They don't want to upset people mostly. They want to bring that diplomatic mission to the area. The uniforms are a little more tight. The protocols, albeit in Baghdad. That stuff, like, it's a lot of times it was more based on survival and just getting the mission done. But like when I was in Afghanistan as a contractor, that was for the Department of Defense, and it was a little more loose and free, which was nice. That was the best contract I was ever on. The lowest threat and also the most fun that I ever had. That was 2013-14, and right at the end of the shit or get off the pot time, when I was like, this is destroying my soul, man. I got to get out of here.
Yeah. It is before you got off the pot, are there any moments from that fun time in 13-14 that stand out? Because I was listening to you talk about meeting people like Condoleezza Rice, protecting Dick Cheney. Is there a moment that stands out with you, whether it was, meeting someone cool, something surprising, a period of time as a contractor that just stands out to you above the rest?
Yeah, I think 13-14, man. That was the coolest. That was the coolest, and just it's a different thing when you're like in fear every single day for your life, and you're, like in Baghdad. I worked in Baghdad in 06, 07, 08, 09. I missed 2010, and then I went down to Basra in 2011 and 2012. Mm-hmm. So I was in Baghdad for a good chunk there in the mid-thousands, and that was during the Battle of Baghdad years and the Sadr City years and all the stuff that was going on in Baghdad. And like life was like more on a moment-to-moment basis, like you can't really, you can look around and be like, this is what I always wanted to do. I want to be like a boy with guns and with my friends and hanging out and doing cool shit. but it's like it's too stressful for that, right? It's like you're not really sitting around and enjoying what you're doing. You're just trying to make it through, and then you're trying to get on leave so you can go and spend the money that you were making and that sort of thing. But by the time 2013, 14 came around, you know, I was working, I was running a team too at that point, which was fun, you know, in a leadership role. Or I eventually got to that position. I didn't start there in Afghanistan. And it was just fun. Like, you know, we were on a Marine Corps base in Helmand, Afghanistan. So we got to blend and work around and with the Marines, and that was super fulfilling, and just get to use like their DFAC and hang out with them a lot, go and use their range. We were also with the British, so the British also owned a compound there. So it was like a little international type community of cowboys, or at least the contractors were cowboys. So we were trading bottles of whiskey for range time. My buddy, who I took the team over, that's a cool story. We used to, you know, like a little undercover call sign or nickname we gave him was the Ukrainian's arms dealer, because if you lift up his bed in his little like trailer room, there was literally dozens of ammo, like cans of ammo and grenades and flares and all these things that we would trade people, because we got a free line on booze, right? So we would trade all these units for their kick-ass weapons or bottles of liquor. So, you know, like that kind of cowboy stuff was going on, you know, and it was just kind of fun rolling around that base, you know, abiding by the rules, but, you know, not really having to be beholden to too many people's rules, as we had a different mission set. We were taking care of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers at the time as they built these projects around Afghanistan. And, I won't go too much into that, but that was where I saw a big gleaming hole in some of the price tags and the things they were building for the money they were building in. I was like, what? If people knew about this, this is fucking crazy.